Nestled amidst emerald hills lay the village of Komori, a peaceful place where life moved at the rhythm of the sun and the moon. Days were filled with laughter and toil, nights with shared stories under a star-studded sky, but this tranquility was about to be shattered. It began subtly, like a whisper in the wind. A new light appeared in the night sky, distant and unknown. The villagers at first paid little attention. They mistook it for a particularly bright star. Its brilliance, however, seemed to intensify with each passing night. It grew larger, slowly at first, then with increasing speed, like an eye opening in the darkness. Fear, like a shadow, began to creep into the hearts of the villagers. Whispers turned into murmurs, then anxious conversations. What was this celestial visitor? Was it a good omen or a harbinger of doom? The elders of Komori, their faces etched with worry, consulted ancient scrolls and whispered prayers, but found no answers. The light in the sky grew closer, casting a cold white glow over the once peaceful village. Night after night, the villagers watched in dread as the light drew nearer. Its progress, once barely perceptible, now dominated the night sky. It pulsed with an eerie energy, casting long, dancing shadows across the village square. Sleep became a luxury few could afford. Then, one moonless night, the unthinkable happened. The light, now a blinding orb, stopped directly above Komori. The air crackled with energy and the earth trembled beneath their feet. The villagers watched, their hearts pounding in their chests as a fiery object detached itself from the light and hurtled towards the earth. A deafening crash echoed through the valley, shaking the very foundations of their world. The impact sent shockwaves through the village, toppling clay pots and extinguishing oil lamps, plunging Komori into darkness. Fear, raw and primal, gripped the villagers. Some cowered in their homes, while others, driven by a strange compulsion, gathered in the village square, drawn towards the site of the impact. The villagers approached the crash site with a mix of trepidation and curiosity. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of scorched earth and something metallic. The object, now cool to the touch, lay in the center of a crater. It was a metallic structure unlike anything they'd ever seen. Its smooth, featureless surface reflected the moonlight in an eerie, otherworldly glow. A hatch, seemingly activated by their presence, hissed open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Hesitantly, the villagers peered inside, their eyes widening in astonishment. There, seated amidst a web of wires and glowing panels, was a being unlike any they had ever imagined. Section 4, A Voice Without Words. The creature was humanoid in form, but with an otherworldly beauty that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. Her skin shimmered like polished silver, and her hair, a cascade of liquid gold, flowed around her like a living thing. But it was her eyes that held them captive. They burned with an internal fire, ancient and knowing. She spoke, but her words were not words they could understand. It was a melody of sound, both beautiful and strange, that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate deep within their minds. Fear turned to wonder as they felt her thoughts wash over them. She came in peace, she conveyed. She sought their help. Before they could react, the sky above them erupted in a blaze of light. Dozens, no hundreds of lights identical to the first, descended from the heavens, surrounding the village in a silent, deadly embrace. The creature rose, her eyes fixed on the sky, and pointed a slender finger at the terrified villagers. Section 5. The silence after. A strange paralysis gripped the villagers. Their feet felt rooted to the ground, their bodies frozen in place. They watched in terror as the lights descended lower, their glow casting long, menacing shadows across the upturned faces of the villagers. The air crackled with energy, the scent of ozone sharp in their nostrils. Suddenly, from the back of the crowd, a voice rang out. It was the village elder, his voice trembling with age but filled with a surprising strength. He raised his arms to the sky and began to chant. An ancient prayer passed down through generations. The creature turned, her gaze falling upon the elder. The fire in her eyes seemed to flicker, then dim, slowly. Almost reluctantly, she lowered her hand. The lights in the sky paused, their glow pulsating in unison with the elders chanting. Then, as if answering a silent command, they began to rise, ascending back into the darkness from whence they came. The creature turned back to the villagers, her expression unreadable, and then, in a blink of an eye, she was gone. The hatch slammed shut, the only sound in the sudden silence. The villagers remained frozen for a heartbeat too. Then the spell broke. They looked at each other, their faces etched with confusion and relief. The night was silent now. The only sound, the chirping of crickets and the whisper of the wind through the trees. The creature was gone. The lights vanished. But the villagers knew deep in their hearts that she might return, and they would be waiting.